Jake Carter, a young human engineer, had only been on the alien farming planet Zerulia 5 for 2 days. The sun here was green, the grass was purple, and the air smelled like sweet lemons. But Jake wasn't here for the view he was sent to fix. A broken nutrient ray machine in Sector 9. The nutrient ray was an old human invention. It made crops grow faster. The alien farmers on Zerulia 5, a plant-based species called Zerulans, had been using it for years. But something strange was happening now. The coconuts grown here were staying small. The alien elders were angry. The fruit was sacred to them. Jake stood next to the machine, checking wires and buttons. "Everything looks normal," he mumbled, wiping sweat from his forehead. His assistant drone floated near him, beeping softly. Then he pressed the button. A bright blue light shot from the ray. It hummed loudly and spread across the field. Trees began to shake, and some of the coconuts even grew a little. Jake smiled. Finally, something's working. But then he heard a small yelp from the other side of the tree. He rushed over and stopped there. Kneeling on the grass was a young Zerulian girl. She had sky-blue skin, silver hair, and long leafy ears. Her hands were pressed tightly against her chest, and her big violet eyes were wide with shock. Her cheeks turned from blue to a deep, glowing pink. Jake blinked. "Are you okay?" The girl didn't answer. Instead, she gasped, pulled her hood over her head, and ran off into the tall grass without another word. Jake scratched his head. What the heck was that about? He didn't know it yet, but he had just triggered an ancient alien custom by accident. Later that day, whispers filled the village. She was hit by the ray. "I saw her. Her coconuts, they're huge now." The human cursed her. "No, fool, he blessed her. It's a sign." Jake walked through the village, confused by the looks the aliens were giving him. Some stared, some giggled. Some looked angry. A group of young Zerulian boys pointed at him and laughed before running off. He sighed. "Maybe they don't like engineers?" Then he heard someone whisper, "That's him." The one who changed Luma. That night, while Jake was checking readings in his tent, a soft knock came at the flap. "Come in," he said. The flap opened slowly. It was Luma, the same girl from earlier. She was wrapped tightly in a long robe, covering her from neck to knees, but her face was red again and her hands trembled slightly. Jake stood up. "Hey, are you okay? I didn't mean to. Did you know?" She asked quietly. "Know what?" She looked down. "About the coconuts." "My coconuts," Jake blinked. I just fixed the machine." She stepped closer, voice soft but serious. "In our culture, the coconut is a sign of maturity. When a girl's fruit ripens like mine just did, it means she's ready for binding." Jake tilted his head. "Binding? Like, tying something?" "No." She looked up, blushing harder. "Like marriage." Jake's mouth dropped open. "Wait, what?" Just then, the tent flap blew open again. A tall, leafy elder with bark-like skin stepped in. "So, human, youth, made our Luma blossom. You must take responsibility." Jake threw up his hands. "I didn't do anything. It was the machine." The elder nodded slowly. "Yes, your human machine. Your human hands, your human interference. The law is clear. The ripening has occurred. A bond must be formed." Luma said nothing. She only stared at the ground, glowing with embarrassment. Jake stuttered, "This has to be a mistake. I'm just an engineer." "I don't want to—" "You already have?" the elder said. Outside, more villagers were gathering. Luma peeked out the flap and gasped. "They're already preparing the announcement," Jake groaned. "Oh no, this is bad. This is very, very bad." The next morning, Jake woke up with a heavy feeling in his chest. He had slept in his tent, but his dreams were filled with strange images, floating coconuts, glowing alien eyes, and the sound of villagers whispering he touched her. "Fruit?" He rubbed his face. "What the heck is going on?" Outside, the village was already buzzing. The coconut trees swayed in the breeze, but Jake noticed something new. Everyone kept staring at him. Some smiled, some giggled. One old alien even gave him a thumbs up, or at least Jake thought it was a thumbs up. The hand had 3 fingers and moved like a noodle. He hurried toward the central square to meet the head engineer. But before he could reach the tech station, the crowd suddenly split down the middle, and there she was. Luma. She was no longer hiding behind tall grass or running away. She walked carefully, her long robe pulled tightly over her body. But her hood was down now, and her silver hair shimmered in the light. Her cheeks were glowing again, still that soft, warm, pink-violet color. Jake froze. She looked directly at him, and then, boom, she tripped. The entire crowd gasped. Luma fell forward, and her robe slipped just enough to reveal the change. Her chest, now enlarged from the nutrient rays accident, bounced visibly before she quickly covered herself and got up, red-faced and flustered. She didn't say a word as she rushed toward the temple hall. Jake turned to a nearby alien boy. "Does this happen often?" The boy smirked. "Not unless a girl gets hit with a blessing beam." Jake blinked. That was not a blessing beam. It was a malfunctioning nutrient amplifier, the boy shrugged. "Call it what you want, human. You made her bloom." Inside the temple, Luma sat alone, hiding her face behind a glowing scroll. She didn't even notice when Jake nervously stepped. And he cleared his throat. "Hey, are you okay?" She peeked at him from behind the scroll. "I tripped because I saw you." Jake scratched his head. "That's kind of sweet." "No," she said quickly. "It's because you make me nervous. Every time I see you, I remember what happened to my coconuts." Jake coughed. Looking away, "I swear it was an accident." "I know it was," she whispered, her voice soft like a breeze. "But the elders don't care. They think this is a sign. A sacred one. And now I'm being treated like a woman ready for courtship." Jake stared. "Wait, you mean they actually think we should?" Luma interrupted him. "Do you know what blooming means in our culture?" Jake shook his head. "It means I must choose a mate or be chosen. And since you caused it, some say you already are my chosen." Jake sat down on a nearby crystal bench, stunned. "I didn't mean to embarrass you," he said quietly. "I'm not embarrassed." Luma replied. He looked at her. She corrected herself. "Okay, maybe I am. Just a little." Jake chuckled nervously. "Well, your people think I did something big, but all I did was press a button." "That's enough for Cerulean love stories," she said with a small smile. Suddenly a loud horn echoed outside. Then a deep voice boomed. "The champion of..." "The third ring requests permission to enter." Luma's smile faded. "Oh no." Jake stood up. "Who's that?" Luma's eyes widened in panic. "His name is Zurak. He's the strongest warrior of our village. He's been trying to claim me for months. But now he'll use this coconut thing to challenge you." Jake blinked. "Me? I don't even know how to hold a sword." Luma stood too. "It's not a sword fight, it's worse. It's a trial of emotions, instinct, and charm." Jake groaned. "Oh, great. I'm dead." Outside the temple, Zurak marched in like a tank with legs. Covered in thick armor made of golden bark, he raised his hand and shouted, "I heard her coconuts have bloomed. I claim her." The villagers clapped and cheered. Jake whispered to Luma, "They're clapping. This can't be good." But Luma stepped forward bravely. "You're too late, Zurak. The one who made them bloom was him." She pointed to Jake. A dead silence followed. Then gasps, laughter, and muttering. Zurak's eyes burned. "Then he shall face the trial." Jake gulped. "Can I go back to fixing machines now?" Jake Carter didn't wake up the next morning. He was already awake all night. He had been tossing and turning inside his tent, staring at the alien ceiling. Outside, strange Cerulean insects chirped softly in the dark. But inside his head, the only sound was Luma's voice saying, "You touched my coconuts. Now you're bound to me." He groaned and pulled a blanket over his face. "This planet is crazy." But crazy was just getting started. As soon as the first light of Zerulia's twin moons faded, a group of alien children gathered outside Jake's tent, chanting a strange rhyme. "The fruit has bloomed. The heart has stirred. Now comes the..." "Trial." Not one word blurred. Jake peeked through the flap, eyes still puffy. "Is this a parade?" "No," said a familiar voice behind him. "It's a warning." He turned and there stood Luma, dressed in traditional ceremonial robes, made of shimmering petals and thin silk threads. Her long hair was tied up, her cheeks were glowing, and a single vine bracelet hung around her wrist. Jake's mouth went dry. Whoa, Luma looked down. Today is the day of choosing. I didn't choose anything, Jake cried. I just hit a machine with a wrench. In Zerulean law, your touch changed my status, she said quietly. And when fruit ripens without warning, it means fate has acted. Okay, Jake said slowly. Let's say I did 'cause your transformation. What now? Do I say sorry? Return the fruit? Luma sighed. You can't return a blooming heart, Jake. A loud horn echoed from the village's center. Outside, crowds had gathered around a circular platform made of woven roots and shining crystal. Elders sat on tall mossy thrones. Zuruk stood in the middle, muscles gleaming with oil and confidence, showing off his fangs and roaring at fans like some kind of alien gladiator. Where's the human? He bellowed. Where? Is this Coconut Man? Jake looked at Luma. He called me what? Luma just grabbed his hand. Don't argue. Come with me. As they approached the stage, whispers ran through the crowd. That's him? Looks small, but they say his beam was strong. Jake stepped up onto the trial circle. The ground felt warm under his boots. Zuruk grinned wide. So, human, you caused her bloom? Jake scratched his neck. That's complicated. Then the law is clear, Zuruk boomed. We will face the 3 trials of worthiness. If you win, she is yours. If you fail, she becomes mine. Jake blinked. Wait, I don't want... Too late. The elders raised their staffs. The trial begins. They shouted. Trial 1, the gaze of truth 2 chairs. 1 staring contest, no blinking. No looking away. The first one to flinch loses. Jake sat across from Zuruk, trying not to laugh at the ridiculousness of it all. Zuruk glared at him with fiery red eyes. Jake leaned forward and suddenly sneezed from all the pollen floating around. Ha! Zuruk roared. Round 1, mine. Luma covered her face with her hands. Trial 2, the fruit of fire. Each contestant must eat a raw fire fruit, a spicy, glowing orb that makes even strong Zeruleans cry. First to spit it out loses. Jake picked one up, eyes watering already. Here goes nothing, he said. He took a bite, his mouth turned to lava, his ears rang, his eyes went full Niagara Falls. But Zuruk? He screamed, then fainted. On the spot, the crowd gasped. Jake fell over too, twitching, but technically he lasted longer. Luma smiled a little. Tied. Trial 3, the call of the heart final test. Most important. The contestant must say 1 sentence that makes the girl's heart beat faster. It must be original, from the soul, and she chooses the winner. Zuruk stood, recovered, and puffed his chest. He roared, Luma, I will crush mountains for you and bathe in the lava of love. The crowd cheered. Then Jake stepped forward, still coughing from the fire fruit. Voice cracked. He looked straight at her. Luma, he said, I didn't plan any of this. But if I'm the guy who made your coconuts bigger, I promise I'll also make you laugh harder, live brighter, and never let anyone treat you like fruit again. Silence, then Luma burst out laughing. She laughed so hard she nearly fell off the stage. Zuruk gasped. That counts. The elder stood up, raised his vine staff, and announced, The girl has chosen. The trial is complete. The bond begins. Jake blinked. Wait, what bond? Luma looked up, blushing again. The heart fruit bond, Jake groaned. I just wanted to fix a machine. Asterisk. Jake Carter didn't think things could get worse. He was wrong. After surviving the trial of worthiness, Jake tried to sneak away and hide in the equipment shed. His tongue still burned from the fire fruit. His head was spinning. And now, thanks to 1 accidental beam and a clumsy confession, he was halfway bonded to an alien girl who glowed every time she looked at him. This planet is cursed, he muttered, splashing cold water on his face. But even the cold water couldn't stop what came next. Back at the village, the ceremonial drums began to beat. Boom, boom, boom. Villagers gathered in the great hall again. Elders sat straight and tense. Something serious was coming. Then the announcement echoed through the air. Zuruk Champion of the third ring has called for the final rite of challenge. Everyone gasped. Even Lemma. She stood near the elder's throne, her face pale as ice. Her bracelet of vines now pulsed a soft blue. It meant her bond with Jake had started, even if it wasn't complete yet, but this challenge could end it. Forever, Luma clenched her fists. He's really doing it. He's invoking the ancient mate's right. Jake, walking into the crowd, stopped mid-step. That doesn't sound good. It's not, Luma said, voice trembling. It's a law even older than coconut tradition. If Zurak wins this next test, the council will break our bond. And I'll have to become his, Jake stared. So, I fix a tree, accidentally hit you with a ray, win a spicy fruit contest only to lose you to this guy again? Yes. She nodded. Unless you beat him, in the Ritual of Shadows. Jake gulped. Sounds fun. Luma didn't smile. Later that evening, the ritual grounds were prepared. The crowd sat in a large circle, watching from glowing vine chairs. The center arena was covered with shadows, lit only by soft blue fire. The air smelled of spice, mist, and tension. Zurak stood tall, wearing a cloak made from hunter-beast hide. He held a staff made of bone and crystal. He looked like a warrior. God. Jake stood opposite, wearing his engineering jacket, still stained with fruit juice. Why does this feel like a bad dream? He muttered. Then the head elder stepped forward and raised his voice. This is not a battle of fists. This is not a contest of strength. This is a battle of connection. The Ritual of Shadows had one goal: reach the girl's heart through the shadows of her fears. Luma was brought forward, blindfolded, and placed in the center of the arena. Her hands were tied in glowing threads that reacted to emotion. Whoever could guide her out of her inner fears without touching her, seeing her eyes, or saying her name would win her soul's trust. Zurak stepped forward first. He spoke with a deep, commanding voice. You fear being weak. You fear being alone. You fear no one worthy ever choosing you. I offer power, protection, and legacy. The threads glowed. Dimly, a weak response. Then Jake stepped into the circle. He took a breath, then said softly, I think you're afraid of being laughed at, of being seen and not taken seriously. I think you hide behind cloaks not because you're ashamed, but because people always stare at the wrong things. But I didn't laugh when you ran, and I never stared. I just want to see the real you. The crowd fell silent, the threads around. Luma's hands lit up bright gold. A heartbeat passed, then another, and then she whispered, Jake? The glow exploded. The threads vanished. The bond was sealed. The elders stood. The ritual has spoken, they announced. The heart has chosen. The shadows have cleared. The bond is complete. Zurak roared in frustration, slamming his staff into the ground. But it was too late. Luma removed her blindfold and looked at Jake, no longer blushing. No longer afraid, she stepped toward him and placed her hand on his chest. You didn't just grow my coconuts, she whispered. You grew something deeper. Jake blinked. You really need to stop saying it like that, she giggled. Never. The arena was packed. Villagers leaned forward in their vine seats. Some held glowing snacks. Others wore headbands with Jake's face drawn in squiggly paint. It had only been 2 days, but the human was now famous, or maybe infamous. Either way, all eyes were on him. Drums pounded. Crystals shimmered in the air. Above it all, vines glowed with the symbol of the bonded Bluma coconut split, with a flower inside. Jake Carter stood in the center, still stunned. Why do I feel like I joined a reality show I didn't audition for? He whispered. Next to him, Luma chuckled. Because you did, and now it's the final celebration arena trials. Jake's eyes widened. Final, what now? Trial 1, the fruit toss of destiny. It began with chaos. 10 baskets of coconuts, 1 spinning platform. Contestants had to toss glowing fruit through moving fire rings while blindfolded. Jake groaned. I can't even catch a baseball. An alien handed him a blindfold. Then throw with your heart, not your eyes? Thanks, Jake muttered. That helps so much. He put on the blindfold. Okay, focus, imagine the ring. Feel the weight. He tossed. Thunk. A perfect hit. The crowd gasped. Another! Someone yelled. He tossed again. D'other hit. Even the elders stood up, murmuring. Jake laughed, arms wide. Look at me. I'm the coconut master. Then the third toss smacked a guard in the face. Oops. Trial 2. The pheromone storm dance next. Came something even weirder. The trial area filled with glowing Miss Cerulean flower pheromones. They caused emotional overload in non-Ceruleans. Contestants had to dance through the storm while staying calm and collected. Jake took one whiff and almost passed out. Luma ran up to him. Breathe slow. It won't hurt you, but it might make you say things you regret. Too late. Jake stepped onto the stage and instantly began swaying like a jellyfish. I feel everything, he shouted, spinning. Why are the clouds smiling? At me? The crowd burst out laughing. Even Zurich cracked a grin, but Jake didn't fall. He danced. He wobbled. He shouted about banana bread, and somehow he passed. Trial 3, the final gesture. Now came the hardest part. Jake and Zurich stood on opposite sides. Luma stood in the middle. Each male had one chance. One final gesture, something heartfelt, something only she would understand. Zurich walked forward first. He knelt and offered a massive fruit, sculpture carved to look like Luma's face. I offer you my strength, my loyalty, my garden of honor. Some aliens clapped. Then Jake stepped forward. He held out a small toolkit. Confused murmurs filled the air. Jake knelt. This is the first thing I used the day we met. The tool that fixed the beam, the accident that started all this. It's nothing special, but it reminds me how something broken can turn into something beautiful, just like you. Luma gasped. The lights changed. Her hands glowed with the bond mark. She smiled. You remember? Jake nodded. I remember everything about you. Then she hugged him. The crowd exploded in cheers. Zurich sighed and nodded in defeat. May your coconuts grow eternal. Jake turned. Thanks. I think. That night, the stars above Zerulia 5 burned brighter than ever. The village sang songs of the strange human and the girl who bloomed. And in the center of it all, Luma stood beside Jake, smiling softly. Your journey isn't over, she said. Jake raised a brow. It's not? No, she replied. Now comes the real test, meeting my mother. Jake froze. Wait, she's not a warrior too, is she? Luma smirked. Worse. Jake gulped. Oh boy. Asterisk, the celebration was over. The drums had gone quiet. The arena lights dimmed, but something important still remained. The binding. Jake stood by a quiet pond near the Elder Hall. Fireflies circled above the water, and strange alien Lila hummed softly in the night air. He held the toolkit Luma had returned to him earlier, his fingers brushing the metal edges. He didn't understand it fully, but somehow he had gone from a clueless mechanic to the center of an ancient Zerulean love tradition. And now he was about to take part in the final bond. From behind him came soft footsteps. Jake turned. It was Luma. She wore a ceremonial dress woven from silver leaves and glowing petals. Her hair flowed down her back, and her vine bracelet now pulsed with a calm blue glow. Jake blinked. You look like ... Luma smiled gently. Tonight I become yours, and you become mine. That's how the bindstone works. Jake raised an eyebrow. Is it going to explode if I say no? She giggled. No, but if we complete it, our fates will be woven forever. Jake took a deep breath. Okay, so how do we begin? She led him to a sacred tree older than the village itself. At its roots lay a crystal orb, the bindstone. It shimmered with a heartbeat-like pulse. We both touch it at the same time, Luma whispered. And speak one truth, Jake asked. Any truth? Yes, something real. From the heart, he hesitated. What if my truth is, I'm scared? She reached for his hand. Then, say it. They touched the bindstone together. Light burst from its soft golden alive. Jake closed his eyes. I'm scared. Because I've never felt this before, not with anyone. And I don't know what comes next, Luma said. I'm scared too. Because I never thought anyone would look past my fruit and see my soul. The bindstone flashed once, then slowly melted into silver vines that wrapped gently around their wrists. The bond was complete, but just then, Jake's wrist scanner beeped. He glanced down. Unusual genetic activity detected. Organic mutation. Source, subject Luma, mutation, beneficial. His eyes widened. Wait a second. He stepped closer to Luma and gently scanned her again. The readings were clear now. Luma, whatever that nutrient ray did, it didn't just make your coconuts grow, it changed your biology. She looked confused. What do you mean? Jake turned the scanner to her. Luma, before the incident you told me your species was facing decline, right? Fewer births. Failing fruit trees, weak seeds? She nodded slowly. Jake swallowed hard. But now, your cells are more fertile. Stronger. Healthier. You're not just one girl who bloomed, you're the beginning of a new future for your people. Luma gasped. Your mutation is stable, Jake continued. It can be passed down. You're not just a symbol anymore. You're the solution. Silence hung between them. Luma looked down at the bond vines glowing around their wrists. Her voice trembled. Then, that means, Jake nodded. You're going to be the mother of a new generation, and I accidentally caused it. She stared at him, then smiled slowly, accident or not. You were chosen. Just then, a group of elder scientists arrived, panting from the lab tower. One held a tablet with flashing results. It's true, the elder said, eyes wide. Her new biology is the key. If we can study her genetic bloom, we may restore our failing future. Another added, and the human must be involved. His tech is DNA. This bond is now sacred to our survival. Jake backed away. Whoa, are you saying I'm now some kind of alien fertility engineer? Luma stepped forward and gently took his hand. No, she whispered. You're my bondmate, and our future is bigger than either of us ever imagined. High above, the twin moons crossed in the sky, a rare celestial event the Zeruleans called the joining. It hadn't happened in over 100 years, and now, under that perfect moment, the human and the once shy alien girl stood side by side, united not by accident but by fate. The next morning, Zerulia 5 felt different. Not just because the sky turned orange instead of green, not because the flowers bloomed early, but because something had shifted, something bigger than nature itself. For the first time in decades, the villagers sang songs of hope, and at the center of it all stood one very confused human. And one glowing alien girl. Jake Carter was still getting used to all the attention. He couldn't walk 5 steps without someone offering him a basket of fruit or asking for a gentle scan of their coconuts. At one point, he was even offered a golden hammock in the Hall of Fertility, which he politely declined. He leaned against the lab tower, watching as researchers carefully recorded Luma's readings. I came here to fix a ray gun, Jake muttered. Now I'm the father of a genetic revolution. Next to him, Luma stood tall, her silver hair braided with golden leaves. She no longer wore the cloak that once hid her. She walked with confidence now. She had bloomed, and not just on the outside. Jake glanced at her. You okay? Luma nodded. Just thinking. About what? She smiled softly. About how everything started. I was just a girl picking fruit. Then a human fell from the sky and pointed a machine at a tree. Jake chuckled. Romantic, she giggled. Well, it worked. That evening, the elders hosted the final bonding feast. The village square lit up with glowing torches. Fruit platters floated through the air. Younglings danced in circles, shouting Jake's name in song, though the words were badly translated. He grew the girl, he grew the girl. Her fruit went pop, her heart went WHIL. Jake nearly choked on his drink. We need to fix your lyrics. Luma laughed so hard she snorted, but soon the laughter quieted as the elder matron stood to speak. She was ancient. Her face was like folded bark, and her voice like wind through dry leaves. This bond is no longer just sacred, it is essential. A gift from another world has given us rebirth. May the fruit of this union save us all. The crowd clapped. But then the elder turned to Luma. Child, you are now first of the bloomed. And as tradition demands, you must name your bonded one. His title, his role, his future. Jake's eyes widened. Uh-oh. Luma stood slowly. She turned to Jake. Looked him in the eyes, then said, clearly, with a grin, his title is Fixer of Hearts, his role is my chosen, and his future is mine. The whole crowd cheered like thunder. Jake stood frozen, then said, okay, but just tell me your mom is cool with this. Later that night, when the stars came out, Jake and Luma sat under the giant coconut tree where it all began. The tree shimmered, now its fruit larger than ever. Its leaves glowing gold. Luma leaned on his shoulder. They want to build a lab using your tech and my genetics. Jake nodded. Yeah, the Science Council even offered me a job. Will you take it? He turned to her. Only if you're on the team, she smiled. I thought I already was. Suddenly, a tiny voice echoed nearby. Jake. They both turned. It was a young alien girl holding up a tiny coconut. Can you bless mine too? Jake blinked. Oh no, what have I started? Luma laughed. The age of the coconut human. As the twin moons crossed again, the wind carried a quiet truth. Through the leaves, sometimes the smallest accident becomes the beginning of a love story that reshapes a world. And somewhere out in the galaxy, one message would always echo, he didn't just fix a machine, he fixed her heart,